It's time to accelerate. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Paul. Join me as I host conversations with the leading experts in sales, marketing, sales automation, sales process, leadership, management, training, coaching, any resource that I believe to help you accelerate the growth of your sales, your business, and most importantly, you. Hi, and welcome to the show. Today, my guest is Etai Beck, CEO of Folloze. Folloze is a new sales enablement tool designed to help salespeople make an impact with content. And Etai, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Andy. I'm honored to be on your podcast series.
Oh, thank you very much. So take a minute to introduce yourself, if you could. What does Folloze do, and who are the customers for it?
So, you said my name, but I'm the co-founder, one of the three co-founders, and I'm the CEO of Folloze. It's what we call a sales development platform. It is grounded in content, and the idea here is to bring value to prospects through their buyer's journey, enrich their buyer journey, and at the same time provide deep insights to the sellers so they can focus and respond fast to the most engaged people.
Okay. All right. So how did you get into sales? I mean, you're sort of an engineer by background, right?
I am an engineer. And I can say that the first half of my career I was really in engineering and project management, and was very tied into really kind of a state-of-the-art top level technology. And then this was mostly in a military kind of settings.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point I joined the business scene, and very quickly I wanted to be part of the business side of the house and not that much in engineering. And I think one of the causes for this is because for me, what I value a lot is relationships with people, and the ability to help someone. So business is much about that. It's not only about, from my perspective, solving a technical challenge, but it's also about solving an actual problem. So I joined a early stage startup that time. That was my first startup, and I became one of the VPs there, and my job was to build the pre-sales function for that company. It was called Kagor Networks, and I started building a worldwide team of 15 people or so, and
Sales engineers.
Sales engineers.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing pre-sales and post-sales and partner enablement and field training. And I was also doing the sales ops. Salesforce.com was very new at that time, and we did that. So that was kind of my very first experience with everything to do with sales. Of course, we're working extremely closely with the sales team, and we're kind of jointly headed to win deals.
And was there a moment you can remember where you learned like what selling was? Like there was this lesson you learned, some interaction with a customer. It's like sort of an aha moment. Okay, this is what sales is.
Well, the two things that come about. One of them is that always looking at salespeople as somewhat magicians, right? At some point they have this capability of translating a conversation into a deal. But kind of gradually, but pretty clearly, it became very clear to me that a deal would be way better off signed if there was an actual value that was presented and delivered to the customer. And because once you do that, it's unlike, you're not selling a car. You're selling a piece of technology. It's going to be built into the customer's infrastructure for their operations. It's somewhat of a marriage. And if there's no fit, it's gonna explode at some point. And sometimes it did explode. It did explode when, for instance, we were overselling, or we promised all kinds of stuff that was not even close to what we were able to deliver. That then exploded. But when we actually were able to provide technology and advisory and build trust and be there for them when they needed us. That resulted in a very long-term relationship.
So then how did that lead to Folloze?
I think the two major components that let me talk about the two major core values that we cultivated among the team. One of them is that whenever you interact with a prospect, um, there has to be a knowledge transfer there. There has to be guidance you bring to a customer, which starts with understanding their specific problem on a business side and on the technical side. You have to understand it very thoroughly. Many times, my sales engineers would come to me and say, "Hey, they need this and that feature, or they need this and that capacity," and I would kind of insist on how exactly is their network configuration looking like? What exactly is it that they're trying to do? What's their service going to be? And based on that, come back with a technical solution which would match best their needs. So the idea here of building, of transferring and delivering knowledge, which many times is transferred by using content and the right content for the specific need, that was one core value that we cultivated. And the second one was responsiveness. Like if a prospect, and later on if it's a customer, they're asking for something, they're sending you an email, respond, don't wait. And I'm not saying jump on them and freak them out, but rather respond in a respectful way. Even if you don't have time at the moment, they were asking for something, tell them, okay, I got it, I'm going to work on this, I need to do a little research, I'm going to come back to you in a day or two. And you help with that, you give them a little bit of peace of mind that you are working for them, you're helping them, you are going to help them. And it's these two kind of things were core values that we cultivated, and eventually leading to many trust relationships and many great deals. Now, how is that connected to Folloze? I want to say maybe something more about my last job before I founded Folloze was at Juniper Networks that acquired my first startup. And my last job there, I was leading go-to-market strategy for kind of a big portion of the enterprise business, kind of $250 million a year. And we brought Deloitte and we tried to analyze and understand what is it that is going to translate the great products that we had at Juniper, which many times were the leader products in the market, to a much larger market share. And they came back with a lot of different recommendations, but one of them was about the alignment of messaging and everything that is supporting the message, all the way from corporate to sale, but really to the actual specific use case. There's so many times where I went to support the teams in the field, and I saw that they were struggling with not understanding enough what does it really mean when we say something from the corporate message top line? What does it mean for the customer? How do they connect it to a customer problem?
Right. So they're having a hard time translating what I call this problem. They couldn't translate the marketing message into a sales message.
Right. That would resonate with the customer problem.
Exactly.
And yeah. So what we've done with Folloze is basically it's a very simple and yet that I think that's what makes it very powerful. It's a very simple tool, which allow you to, number one, collect pieces of content that make sense in a specific context. So the context could be, let's say your customer is building a data center, okay? And you have a specific solution to tell them about the data center. What many times happens is that you actually make your customer work very hard to understand what is it that you're going to sell them and how you're going to solve the problem. Instead, what you can do is you can collect a few pieces of content that make it a whole story come together and provide service to your prospect to avoid the need to search for all that. And also, if it's together, it's kind of built in a way that it's in context. they see that, they learn that. It's one place for them to come and see what's in there. And they are very busy people, so we also respect their kind of a busy schedule. So if you give them like the collection of the content they need in one place, they can also share internally across their own team to build their own consensus. You already given so much value in the process. And then on top of it, once they start interacting with those, we call them content boards. These are highly visual, beautiful pages, web pages that really have relevant content. The content could be videos and files and links to maybe even a blogger article that is supporting your message and so on. But once people interact with that, you get actual signals that somebody is in there and doing this and that. And that may mean for you a good time to interact with them and kind of interject into the conversation. Many times what we do is we send emails with a lot of PDFs and links and whatnot. Number one, we don't know what's going on with that. And even if we have a way to track email openings, which is a pretty common and commodity kind of technology these days, what does it mean? If somebody opened the email, maybe if they just did a preview on their Outlook, what does it mean? But if they went and spent time in the content, interacting with that, that's a very strong signal. And that might be a good signal for you to offer them help at that stage, and they would be more open to this. And this would translate to building a better trust relationship with the prospect and eventually advancing to the next stage and next one after that and so on.
Right. So really, for people sort of trying to conceptualize this, that are hearing about this for the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong as I sort of summarize, is what follows, and just so people know if they listening and hadn't seen this online, it's FOLLOZE.com, follows.com, it's like you're creating a personal portal, web portal, for a prospect that you can populate with, as you said, various types of content, information, whether it's a video, PDF, link to a website, or Word document, whatever you have that is you structure in such a way to create a compelling story for the prospect that helps them understand at a greater level of depth exactly what the solution that you're providing to them is going to do for them.
Absolutely, and I think from point of view of a business process, we created tools that allow you to do that at a massive scale. So I don't expect every salesperson, and our main targets, our main customers usually use it in the process of prospecting. Either they're doing inbound qualification of leads or they're doing outbound campaigning. I don't expect every salesperson and every SDR to go around and craft a web portal for a customer, but I do expect them to be able to pick from a library that was predefined and match it to the target audience. So they can, if they want to, send it to a specific lead that they were in conversation with, and that told them about a specific need. They pick the right portal archetype, and based on that, send to them, and it's automatically personalized to that specific lead. Or if they're doing an outbound campaign, just kind of pick a list of leads and send it out as multiple links, and each and every one of those leads will get their own personal version of this. It all connected on Salesforce.com, including all the signals are coming back and popping up on Salesforce, so they know as they are working in processing the leads, they know who is now deserving more attention and when and so on.
Excellent. Yeah. So, and this is not just something that's purely for big enterprise. I mean, this is something that small, medium-sized enterprises can use equally as effectively, and they're selling too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We see a variety of different customer use it in a whole different set of shapes and sizes and industries. When it comes to the larger companies, usually they have more established sales development processes or field marketing processes that support sales. It's very many times it's very close, and in those cases, what they struggle with is that relying on the big marketing machines that do a tremendous job in drip campaigns and nurturing people that come to your website and so on, that's not enough. They need to have something which is for the stage after that, which is how do you communicate actual value with advanced content that is related to a specific need, either in the context of inbound or outbound. And this is exactly where we shine, because it gives sales teams a tool that their buyers feel like it's at the same level of quality of communication, like if it came from marketing. Marketing usually do tremendous job at communicating in a high finesse.
Mm-hmm.
It comes to sales, many times it's kind of going back to the caves. Boring, long emails, bunch of links and PDFs, and phone calls that lead nowhere. And I believe I've seen many customers of us, and I believe it's true in many places also where I was in the past. Many of those calls just go nowhere. Many people just lose and miss a lot of opportunities because they're not communicating properly the value proposition, and they do not know who to follow up with when and when. And these things are we solve for either small or larger company.
Okay. Well, great. Well, let me pose a hypothetical situation for you, and I'll come back and get your answer after the break. And it's a standard question I'm asking all my guests that provides fodder for conversation as we come back after the break. So here's the scenario. You've been hired as a new sales manager at a company whose sales have kind of stalled, become a little stagnant. They're in a hurry to turn things around really quickly. What two things would you do in the first week that would have the biggest impact? And we'll talk about that after the break. Stay with us after the break as we talk with Etai Beck, CEO, co-founder of Folloze, about their great sales engagement tool. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Andy. Connect and Sell is used by sales reps at nearly 1,000 companies, including hundreds of technology startups and several Fortune 500 companies, to overcome the challenges of getting prospects on the phone. Companies using Connect and Sell grow their revenues faster by enabling their sales reps to have more sales conversations in 90 minutes than they could otherwise achieve in an entire week. Connect and Sell can be deployed directly to your sales reps, or you can take advantage of their outbound on-demand service, which delivers qualified prospect meetings scheduled directly on your sales reps' calendars. Visit connectandsell.com to learn more about how Connect and Sell can start filling your pipeline today. And welcome back. My guest today is Etai Beck, CEO of Folloze. You can check them out at Folloze, that's FOLLOZE.com. So, Etai, welcome back. And so,
Thank you, Andy.
Let's spend a minute and answer the question I posed before the break. You're a new manager, new sales manager. A company with sales have sort of stagnated, stalled. You have 1 week to make an impact. What are the two things you'd do that first week that would have the biggest impact?
I think one of the first things I would do is learn the numbers. Try to understand where do we fail, right? Like look at across the funnel and see where's the dropout and understand what exactly is the number one problem that we have, and have a conversation with the team to lead all of us to believe that this is the number one problem. Mm-hmm. Right? Once we all believe that this is the problem, I think now we solve that specific one. Like, for instance, if we see that the worst thing we have is a very bad conversion between incoming leads and opportunities, that's a different problem than we having great opportunities and great demos and whatever, but we don't see closures. So you have to treat them very, very differently. That's why I think we have to first understand where exactly in the funnel is the problem. So that's the number one thing I would do, and then based on that, I would look into what's the next step.
So your second step you'll determine based on what your success of your first step is. Fair enough. All right, so let's get back to Folloze for a second. So how does a sales leader or CEO, how do they evaluate the ROI on Folloze?
So when you talk with sales leaders and CEOs, of course everybody is interested in more sales, right? And everybody is promising more sales. I mean, all vendors promise more sales, and which is fine. And there are more than one technique on how to do this. Usually, when we talk about, I'll give you a simple example. One of the capabilities we have is those deep insights that come in front of your face, which allow you to close the loop very very fast. There's more than one research that is showing that the response time is crucial in order to convert leads because people are so busy, because people have very short span of attention. If you approach them like after a few days from the point when they expressed any interest, you're probably waking up a dead body. They don't even remember that they expressed the
Right.
interest to learn. But if you do it in the first day, maybe in the first hours or even minutes, you have a whole different level of chance. It could be like I don't know, 10 times better, sometimes 100 times better. So when you take this idea, and what we say is that we're not just giving you noisy signals of all kinds of things that happen with the customer. No, they actually spend time in learning your content. That's a pretty deep and strong signal. If you latch on that one, even if the prospect has not expressed a specific intentional need to be contacted, and they can do that as well on our platform. But even if they did not, you can actually interact with them, and most probably they're going to be more open to that, and your likelihood to convert is going to be much higher. Now, how is that translating? Let's say you convert one more lead every month. What does it worth to you? Most people would tell me one more qualified leads is let's say, I don't know, $500 a month. Sorry, $500 a lead, or to $1,000 lead, depending on the company, business, and so on. So if you believe that by applying this technique that allows you to provide highly targeted content, a story, a message to specific leads, and then be able to respond to the ones which are most relevant, so you can salvage at least one more lead every month, that's probably already worth to you $500 to $1,000 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if we are able to convert 10 more leads? What does that worth you? So I think that discussion is very, very simple at that point.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, just so again, so people who haven't seen your type of product before can conceptualize it, is when you're talking about how they engage with the content, is you're getting the analytics back, so that if you on this personalized portal, you've got, let's say, a PowerPoint presentation, you're able to track. Not only have they opened the presentation, but I believe aren't you able to track down to like the specific slide level what they're looking at?
We can look into a specific content piece and how long did they spend time on that one. It could be in a video, could be in a document, and usually it's not only about, when people talk about analytics, many times we're thinking about all kinds of fancy dashboards, which is usually something which is very relevant for marketers. What we do is we create events, and those events come as notifications that pop up. And they pop up in the right place. They pop up on top of your Salesforce console. They pop up even on your iOS mobile. They pop up wherever you want it. So you don't have to go proactively and check and see what did they see, what did they do. No, it's actually coming up as a prepackaged notification that tells you, hey, this and that person just spent 2-3 minutes reading your stuff. It might be a good time to interact with them.
Like a prospect that you sent a proposal to 2 weeks ago that you hadn't heard from, suddenly they're looking at the proposal again, or two people within the organization are looking at the proposal, pick up the phone and call them.
Yep, absolutely.
So, I mean, you're CEO of a company with innovative new product. I mean, you're sort of creating a category or a niche within a category. So what are the 2 or 3 things that you, from your perspective, are sort of most important that you need to accomplish to sort of establish yourself and build momentum within this marketplace?
So I think definitely build awareness that sales success is, I mean, people understand that, but build awareness that with this kind of a platform, sales can latch on not only on higher productivity, which is an operational excellence step that you have to take, but also be able to create way more impact in the marketplace because you're changing the way the buyers would perceive the journey with you. And that is something that we see that was not that much addressed so far with many of the existing platforms. There's a lot of emphasis in the market right now in productivity. And I think the reason for that is because the competitive landscape becoming harder for everybody, and the funnel is becoming wider, the conversion low are I think, lower. And people do a lot of people invest a lot of their time and money and efforts in order to get more calls, more emails, just kind of play the number game, just increase the numbers. And what we're saying here, yeah, increasing the numbers is something you have to do. There's no doubt about it, but there's a limit to that. What you have to do also is change the impact, and that would change the conversion ratio from its. I think it's a strategic change versus an operational change, and that is something that we have to actually educate in some cases. Some customers, it's a new concept. And so kind of bring about that kind of an idea. That's very much important for us. And what we're really focused on is on customer success, getting our first few tens of customers that we have today to be highly successful with their inbound and outbound sales development, and with that, build more credibility in the marketplace for us, and get to the next customer and then the one after that, and so on. Build like credible case studies, numbered proof points, and so on.
Yeah, I mean, you're really talking about a what could be, I mean, a real sales productivity improvement tool, which is, as you sort of alluded to earlier, is, I think there's too many broad definitions of productivity and sales productivity. I mean, if you look at productivity itself, it's a measured unit of output per unit of input, right? So,
right.
What is that input? And as you talked about, it's really time, right? This is a tool to help your salespeople be more productive with the time they're investing in their sales, and that's worth investigating.
And I think it starts with the fact that it brings more productivity to the buyers, because the buyers need to invest less time to understand what is it that you're trying to sell them, and less time into understanding how to solve the problem. So that I think the foundation of our theory here is that if we bring that value to the buyer, which is a better productivity and better value overall, we can help salespeople bring value at every touch point, and every one of the touch points with their buyers, in which case it would translate to more productivity in your own sales process. So it's a win-win situation that you can achieve by using that kind of a concept.
Okay, great, good information. So let's move into the last segment of the show, what I call Sales Corner. We're going to talk about. I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. You can give me one-word answers or multiple-word answers, but sort of stream of consciousness a little bit. So first question is, what's the most powerful sales tool in your own arsenal?
So we're using Salesforce.com as, I mean, that's the ultimate thing you have to do. You have to have a CRM to be able to log and track and see what's going on and manage the stuff. So I think that's the foundation. The foundation is a CRM.
Okay. What's your definition of value in sales?
Value. So value is the ability to, if you bring value to your buyer, meaning that you gave them something that they have not had before, like you help them do something they have not been able to do before. Either they move faster, they save costs, they do something better. You actually being given the value, and the value starts from the very process of interacting with you, right? Even if you tell them, hey, this is a way for you to look at your problem, right? Here's some ideas on how you can actually look at your problem and solve it. That's value on even in the process itself.
Okay. Who's your sales role model?
My sales role model. Let's see. I'm looking at multiple different ones. I think I like a lot of what Jill Rowley is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
As she's talking a lot about, I mean, she comes from a background of both marketing and sales, and talks a lot about the value, the significance of content, and the value. She quotes a lot the Challenger sales model, which is about how you lead your customer and become an advisor to them. So I think she's one that I many times actually quote and talk about in my discussions with our customers.
Okay. What's the one book that every salesperson should read?
Oh, there's a book. Forgive me for not. This is the sales formula. I just forgot the. Let me just pull it out. The book is called The Sales Acceleration Formula by Mark Roberts, who was the number 1 salesperson at HubSpot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a beautiful piece that's starts with how do you hire salespeople and how you train them and so on. I think this is a very valuable book.
Okay. The Sales Acceleration for Mark Roberge. Yes.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite music to listen to psych yourself up before an important sales call?
So one of my favorite music altogether it's an old. I mean, I'm old enough to say that. It's Dire Straits.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark Knopfler, and I'm going to his show on September 18th. It's one of the most beautiful classic things that I could listen to. It would inspire me to do anything.
All right, perfect. What's the first sales activity that you do every day?
Look at my open opportunities and leads and see who should I be interacting with based on signals or tasks or whatever, and then I would just pick up the phone and make calls.
What do you do to keep fit and healthy?
I try to my diet is pretty strict. I kind of shy away from animal food, and I keep like whole grains and things like that, and I'm pretty strict about that. And then I try to actually exercise a few times a week. I can say that this became a very challenging task when I became a CEO of a young startup.
Yeah. Your time is not always your own.
No.
Oh, that's good. Well, thank you, Etai. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Where can people learn more about Folloze?
So they can go to our website. They can always send me an email to etai@followscom. And they can chat with us on the website, and we'd love to interact with them for sure.
All right, perfect. So for people listening, remember that you have to make it a part of your day, every day, to deliberately learn something new to help you amp up your business. And I think we helped you with that today. So until next time, this is Andy Paul. Good selling, everyone. Thanks for listening to the show. If you like what you heard and want to make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.com. For more information about today's guest, visit my website at andypaul.com.